Hello everybody, welcome to my channel, and welcome to What If Deku Had Horror Sans abilities. And yes, I know that Horror Sans is a part of the Bad Sans group, aka the villains of the Sans AUs, but he's also, and Horror Sans' AU, he's a cannibal. Which yes, surprisingly enough, this will be my first cannibalism villain Deku AU, so I want to hear you guys' thoughts on a ship for this. I don't mind doing a Toga one. I don't mind doing an Uraraka one, which would be kind of hard to make a villain Uraraka. And if you guys want a girl Todoroki or Bakugo for this, go ahead. But they're going to be villains, because this is definitely a villain. What if? If you guys want Nightmare Sans, Air Sans, or any other kind of Sans, or any other kind of what if for the Sans or villain one, let me know. But let's get into this. When Deku's born, he's born as a normal child, except the fact that about after 3 months, and he opens his eyes, his teeth are his mouth is normal, but his eyes are deadly red. They glow one eye glows a bright red with a dot of black in the center, and the other one is a pitch black, sometimes going a faint red. As they would kind of think that this was a mutation of his quirk, which it is. This is a mutation of his abilities. And Deku, after about a couple years, they notice Deku's angry and animalistic habits of always eating raw meat or freshly killing an animal and eating it. And they would get concerned for this, so they would bring him to the quirk doctor, thinking that something's wrong with him. And the quirk doctor would say that it's nothing. Like, this isn't a part of his quirk. There must be something wrong with him. As they would, and his parents would ask if they can fix him. The doctor would say, I don't know, we're going to have to keep him over here for a little while. His parents ask how long it's going to take. He says it may take several months, or it may take about a couple years. His parents breaking down crying, saying, okay, we understand. And during this time, they would experiment with different types of meat he would eat. First they tried pork and pig meat, with a fresh pig in the room, and or already processed meat. He would eat both raw. Cooked food was thrown at the wall or at the one-way mirror glass as in disgust. So they thought, okay, raw meat, check. Let's see all the raw meats he would eat. They put all types of raw meats in front of him except for one, which he desired the most: human. As they did give him utensils and paper and stuff like that to write, just in case he wanted food, and what type of meat he wanted. So, one day they decided to ask him, okay, Izuku Midoriya, what kind of meat do you want today? As he would write one word that shocked everyone that was observing him, watching him, and that was ordering his food. As he would write down the word human. Everyone was frozen in fear that this kid wanted human. So they all looked at each other in horror and disgust and sadness, thinking, we have to either feed him this or he might shrug off all other food, because whatever food he wrote down, he would eat. And if he got other food, he would not eat for the entire day, which makes him even more hungrier. So, in this, his quirk is already developed. So his abilities are, of course, the bones, which are sharp, and for some reason already have blood on them. The blasters, which have a red eye and blood coming out of the eye, and as well as a crack in the skull. and very sharp teeth, and a red blast, as well as the gravity manipulation, like Sans does, like all other Sans. And he can also summon a butcher's axe, or the axe in the picture, and he has hand-to-hand combat with it. And whenever he did figure out these abilities, he would constantly use them on the live animals to test out on to get his food. So he was always prepared, and he was always using his abilities to get his food. Pretty much he was raised like a wild animal. And during this time of all the years, his parents, they couldn't take the stress of it anymore, so Hisashi died in a car accident going to work one day, and his mother took her own life. So he's now pretty much an orphan, and no one knows, and they don't know it yet. So now back to when they have to get a human. They don't know who to get, so they think, why not a villain on the execution list? So first they brought a man. The guy walked up to the kid, about to punch him, whenever Deku grabbed him with his gravity manipulation, threw him to the floor, raised the bloody bones through him, and then proceeded to eat him. The scientists were disgusted, but then they had to get used to it. Then, one day, they brought in a woman. The woman walked up to Deku, holding on her hand, and Deku would take her hand. Deku saw her as a mother, because he never got to see his mother. So he would see her, and he would pretty much cling on to her like a mother. And when the scientists tried to drag her out to throw her back onto the execution list, Deku would defend her like she's his mother, and she would raise him like a mother. And then one day, they had to throw in a child in there on the execution list for some reason. They didn't know why the kid was there, but apparently that kid killed his entire family. So the kid walked up to Deku and the woman. She asked if the kid was alright. Deku would stare at the kid, tilting his head to the side, while looking the kid in the eyes. And the kid would just look back at him. And Deku would just walk back to his, quote, mother, and just sit down next to her and leaning on her. Which pretty much meant that the kid got his approval. Pretty much like his brother. Or no, his sister. The kid's gonna be a girl. So now in this time, 2, 3, 4 years have passed by. Deku's 5. The girl, the mother, is about 34. And the sister, quote unquote, is about 4. Actually, no. The girl wasn't in jail. She was in an orphanage, and no one wanted her. She was always abused for having villainous thoughts and villainous ways she's acted, so she was just thrown in there. So she wasn't in jail. 2-year-old being like a 1 or 2-year-old in jail? Fuck that. But, those three would grow up as a family. As when the scientists were done studying Deku, they would ask Deku through the intercom, do you want to bring these two with you to a new home that we got you? Deku would write on the paper saying yes, because Deku doesn't like talking. He would just write yes. They would say, okay, come on out. Don't worry, we aren't going to do anything to your family. As he would shyly just walk out behind his, quote, mother and his sister right next to him. As the scientists would bring him to a new apartment. And they would live there for a while. His new mother, always just keeping an eye on him because she's always concerned for him. Because he always likes to eat raw meat. And he would always go out late at night to go get human flesh. Because he didn't want to hurt his family. He loved them like a real family. But he hated men. He despised men because of the scientist. So he would always kill men. But he loved to take care of children and women. Those are the only two people he respected. Other than that, he would kill on-sight men. Until the age of 8, when his new mother told Deku not to kill this man. I trust him. And whenever she trusts someone, he trusts them too. So she would say hi to your new father. And the man will walk in, and it's All For One. I'm just going to say that. All For One's his new adopted father. As Deku would walk up to the man, looking him in the eyes, All For One look at him in the eyes, back, just looking at each other. As his adopted sister would walk up behind him, giving him a hug from behind, saying, "Don't kill him. Mommy trusts her. Mommy trusts him." As Deku would just look at him and look back at his sister, give her a hug, and then carry her back to her room with him. As All For One, Deku, and his new family would get along. As All For One doesn't kill this family. This family stays alive to keep the sanity of Deku safe. Because if he loses his family, he's gonna go crazy, like Insanity Sans, which Insanity Sans kills everything in sight. And he's horror sans, but crazy, crazier. But as they would work with All For One. So at the tender age of 10 to about 13, Deku always worked on his quirk with his father. And his sister would work on her quirk with him. And his sister, plot twist, Toga. Just kidding. No, his, quote, sister her name is going to be Monica. If you know that name, congratulations, you get the reference. If not, I recommend you play DDLC. Anyways, Monica and Deku would always train with their father, All For One, while his mother would always go out getting food and supplies for him when they would work out, whenever they work on their quirks and stuff. As this would happen, All For One got into a fight with All Might one day. Or no, he would get into a fight, so he'd always wear that mask, and they would always train without him. So one day, Deku and Monica, his sister, would walk into the base where the League of Villains would be, and Shigaraki and Kirigiri are sitting there at the bar, as All For One would walk in with his kids, Monica and Deku. Shigaraki would ask, "Who are these brats?" as Deku would flare up with his eye glowing a bright red as a small, aura would appear from it as he would get ready to attack, summoning his bloody axe, and his bones are about to rise through the floor. Pretty much about to kill him and eat him, right in front of Kirigiri and his sister and father. All For One calming down Deku, saying, "Don't kill him, he's with us. He's gonna be like your, older brother." Deku would stop instantly, put his hands down to his side, bowing, pretty much saying sorry. Shigaraki getting scared, and then just brushing it off, getting cocky, just scoffing, saying, "Whatever, kid." As Deku would walk up to him and hug him. Monica saying, "So he's like a brother to us, right? Do I get to call him Big Brother too?" All For One bending down on his knees, saying, "Yes, that's gonna be your new big brother, Monica. Why don't you go give him a hug?" Monica walking up and giving him a hug. Shigaraki does have gloves on that prevent him from decaying everything. So he gets down and he stands up and pats them on their head, saying, "Alright, let's go out and get something to eat, shall we?" Them raising their hands, pretty much saying yes, and they just walk out, holding Shigaraki's hands. And Kirigiri and All For One would talk. Pretty much All For One telling Kirigiri to watch his kids like they're his own. And to make sure Shigaraki doesn't do anything too dangerous with them. Because he now has new siblings, and I don't know if something bad will react if this happens. So keep an eye on them, shall you? Kirigiri says, "Okay, master, thank you." All for one saying, "Thank you. You're always like a brother to me, Kirigiri. And I respect you for that." So, when the kids come back, I'll tell them to call you Uncle Kiri. How does that sound? Kirigiri saying, "That's fine, master." He would say, "That's fine, master." And Alfred would laugh, saying, "It's no problem, my friend. Now I'm going to go back and tend to my injuries. Just call me on the TV whenever you need me, and whenever they get back." Kirigiri is saying, "Right." As we get over back to Deku, Monica, and Shigaraki, as they're just walking around town, as Shigaraki would say, "Do you guys want to see something interesting?" As they would say, "Sure," as they already know that their dad works as a major villain, and they know that he works with villains, so they already know that he's a villain. And they actually rather be villains than heroes, because heroes hurt their dad, or their papa. So they hate heroes more than they do villains, but they do hate some villains. So they would follow Shigaraki as he walks up to these couple gangsters about to R-A or R@PE, a girl, and if you don't know what that means rape. But they're about to do that to a girl sitting in the alleyway. As Shigaraki would walk up behind him, tapping him on the shoulders with one finger, with his gloves off, he would say, "Here, shake my hand. Good job on your work." And they would both shake his hands. Then instantly decaying, as the girl with blonde hair and yellow snake-like eyes would hug him, saying, "Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you." As Deku would walk up, tapping her on the shoulder, as she would turn and say yes, as he would hug her, as he would pretty much give the motion saying, "Follow us," as she would say, "Okay," and this is Toga, Himiko Toga. And whenever they arrived back to the base with Toga at hand, Kirigiri would ask what happened. Shigaraki would say that this girl was about to be assaulted when I stopped them, and maybe we can get a new member. Kirigiri would call up All For One to ask if it's okay. All For One saying, "Yes, actually, I was about to get some more people in here soon, so why not, the more the merrier." Toga asking if there's a restroom somewhere near, as Deku would raise his hand, saying, pretty much just waving it around, giving the indication to follow him. And Toga would follow him to the restroom, and as he was about to leave, Toga would give him a hug from behind, saying, "Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You're like the brother I never had." As he would turn around and hug her, as he would quietly say, "Thank you." Or no, he would say, "You're welcome." And he would just wave and walk out as she would clean herself up and come out. And that's where I'm going to leave this part 1 of What If Deku Had Horse Man's Abilities. I hope you enjoyed. And if you guys want another part, let me know. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.